Well, as I seek to bring you a reflection on the gospel for the fourth Sunday of the month of March, I find that this propels me already beyond the midpoint of Lent, because the fourth Sunday of March is the fifth Sunday of Lent. The fifth Sunday of Lent begins the week immediately prior to Holy Week. So by the time we get there, by the time we hear this gospel about the resurrection of Lazarus, our minds will already be moving us toward Holy Week, and thus toward the Triduum, and thus toward Easter. The narrative regarding Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead is a powerful one, and it's a cornerstone of our Lenten season. Jesus was considered Martha and Mary and their brother Lazarus to be dear friends. He was away from their village when he got word that Lazarus was critically ill. And it says he stayed where he was for 2 more days. And then he began to journey. When he reached the village, he found that Martha greeted him and wept and said, "If you had been here, my brother would not have died." And then John's gospel kind of unfolds a rather elaborate reflection on the meaning of resurrection, that Jesus is the way and the life. And so it kind of takes the emphasis off of Jesus' tardiness in arriving. And she said to him, "If you had been here, my brother would not have died." And he says he will rise again in the resurrection of the just. She sends word for Mary, because Jesus had stopped outside the village. And Mary comes, and there's sort of repeat of that. For Mary to make a profession of faith, as Martha had made a profession of faith. But they proceed on to the village. And again, something that always struck me in the reflection of this gospel is the shortest Bible verse in all the Bible. It says, when he arrived and he was told that Lazarus had died, Jesus wept. 2 words, just Jesus wept. How human of him. Because again, by the fifth Sunday of Lent, we're moving our mind toward his own passion and death and resurrection. But Jesus still was human enough to weep at the death of his friend. He called into the tomb, "Lazarus, come out." And he did. Although he had been told Lazarus has already been in the tomb for 4 days, and they were very practical. There will be a stench when we open this grave. It's okay. Tell him to come out. Positioning this gospel story as the last Sunday of Lent before Palm Sunday gives us a precursor to Jesus' own resurrection, and the promise that we interpret from that there is a resurrection for all of us, that we will all be raised from the dead when we gather as one. Consider the drama that we hear in this gospel of Martha and Mary each coming and say, "If you had been here," and then their own profession of faith that they do believe that Lazarus will live again. And Jesus gives them a picture of that by raising Lazarus right there. God bless you.